Welcome to the Safari Arie Road Show. I am producer Brando. This is the place where you can get the scoop on what's happening in the life of Mr. Safari Arie. This is the guy that's pedaling 55,000 kilometers across 24 different countries, and he's already well on his way. He's made it to Kingston, Ontario, and he started in St. John's, Newfoundland. He's been gone for, I think it's about a total of 5 months, but we're going to talk to Arie in just a second. But I just want to stress to you guys, the commenting, the liking, the subscribing, sharing it with your friends, kicking it with your foot if you have to, all this kind of stuff really helps Arie out in the long run. So make sure you're doing that stuff, and let's get right into this. Let's talk to Arie. Hey, Arie, how's it going?
Excellent. How about you?
Not too bad. So what is the deal with the new show?
All right. I'm so excited about this. Yes, as you can see, we have a new show. And the main reason behind the new show is, admittedly, my live videos were not the greatest. A lot of humming and hawing, a lot of dragging this out, dragging that out. Definitely needed room for improvement. A couple of my close supporters kind of pointed that out. One of them actually noticed and observed and pointed out how well I do typically when there's another person involved, such as podcasts.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of brainstorming, a little bit of thinking here and there, and it's like, hold on, we've got an idea. And so the idea for this new show is to not 100% replace the live show, the Facebook live videos, but to replace the bulk of the Facebook live videos, to make it just a little bit more entertaining, to just a little bit more polished, and a little bit more structure and direction. So there will still be some live videos, but
for sure,
try to cut that out a little bit and bring a better product to everyone.
Yeah, when you first presented the idea, I was pretty darn excited about it. Like you said, just a more polished scoop into your life, what's going on.
Yes.
I know sometimes, like even when you're out on the road, the 3G or whatever you're using on your phone, sometimes that can crap out on you. And just having this as kind of the headquarters for people to, come in and see what's going on with, what's new in the life of Safari Arie.
Absolutely.
And so you've been in Kingston, Ontario, since you've entered Ontario, and I think you were saying your hope was to, be farther than you are now, but how it turned out, you landed in Kingston during this COVID-19 pandemic. What have you been doing for keeping yourself busy?
Yeah, so I've been in Kingston like 20 days, which is like the longest I've actually ever been anywhere on these 20 days in many, many, many years. So yeah, I've been here a long time. That being said, yes, I have actually been really busy almost from the time I got here. I had to switch out my laptop. My original laptop was literally on the eve of crapping out. So I had to pick up a new laptop. So that was kind of my goal for Kingston. And then sort of getting stuck on the eve of all this escalation and realizing I got to stick around for a bit. I actually got pretty busy down to work with quite a few things. So since I've been here, just some of the things that I've kind of accomplished or worked on or had happen is I was on the Ohio Ram Show, which is like a podcast.
Oh yeah, yep.
That'll be out the next few days. I was actually on the front page of the local newspaper here in Kingston. Right. The Whig Standard. So that was actually pretty cool. I was like right under Prime Minister Trudeau. That was kind of neat to be on the front page. I finished my income tax. So I got my income tax all done.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Actually kind of excited. Not going to get into too many details because it's all kind of, who knows where it goes, and maybe it goes nowhere, but I actually worked on a pretty in-depth sponsorship proposal. Okay. So that took almost half a week of putting that together.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, that was something I'd never done before, and had some help from a solid supporter. Wow. So I definitely appreciate that. Well, we've been working on this new show for sure.
Yeah.
That's been kind of exciting, just sort of some back and forth. So that's taken some time.
Yeah.
Um,
And we
actually, sorry, go ahead.
We just came out with your full-length documentary. Most of your fan base has probably seen it already. There's already quite, a lot of views on it already. But if anyone hasn't seen that, just I'll put a link in the description below so you can watch that. But what can you tell us? Can you kind of tell us, I don't know, a summary of how that documentary? So that was from Newfoundland to Quebec. Just kind of tell us quickly your thoughts and everything between what happened from there to there.
Well,
just to bring us up to speed, because we're in Ontario now.
Yeah. Sorry, say that again a little bit as far as.
Well, just a quick summary of what's happened between St. John's and where you are right now, just for those who don't know who you are.
Sure, for sure.
What they can expect in this documentary.
Yeah. So basically the route that I kind of took to get here is Newfoundland was pretty straightforward, just Trans-Canada from St. John to Port aux Basques, and got into Nova Scotia. And from Nova Scotia, I did not go to Cape Breton because of the time of year, but I kind of followed the North Shore from towards New Glasgow, and then the Sunrise Trail to Confederation Bridge. And then I went into Prince Edward Island, and from Prince Edward Island, I went all the way to the East Point. That's actually out by where my parents live, and I was there for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
And then after Christmas, I headed from the East Point to the North Point, or the North Cape, however you want to call it, and then to the West Cape, and then back to the Confederation Bridge, and then from Confederation Bridge into Nova Scotia. Amherst. What I did is I followed the Bay of Fundy coastline.
Right.
I went Amherst, Joggins, Advocate to Truro, then towards Windsor, and then, but not quite, and then south to Halifax. So I followed that whole coastline. And then I went from Halifax along the coastline again to Peggy's Cove, Lunenburg, to Yarmouth up to Digby. And Digby, I took the ferry to St. John, New Brunswick. And then, so I added like 1,300 kilometers to PI in Nova Scotia. Yeah. When I got into New Brunswick, then the routing kind of became fairly straightforward. Basically, St. John to Fredericton, up to Edmundston, up to Rivière-du-Loup into Quebec. And then from Quebec, I followed the south shore of St. Lawrence from Rivière-du-Loup to Quebec City. And then Quebec City, I followed the North Shore to Montreal, and then into Ontario. And then I went up to Ottawa. And then Ottawa, I went down to Brockville, and then Brockville to Kingston, which I landed in Kingston.
This was all during a Canadian winter.
Yeah, all during the winter.
That's insane.
I landed in Kingston on the first day of spring, March 19th. Yeah. And that was just a hair under 4,900 kilometers.
Jeez. Well done. Yeah. I think you're making good time. How do you feel about it? Do you think you're making good time?
I guess that's a good question, because now we're in the middle of this virus thing. So technically, had I not added that 1,300 kilometers to Atlantic Canada, I should have been in Sault Ste. Marie.
Okay.
Instead, I'm in Kingston. So that's a pretty big difference considering how big Ontario is. I'm definitely not complaining. I'm definitely glad I invested the time into Atlantic Canada, by all means, definitely, for sure. And it's interesting, even with the schedule that I was on with the extra mileage, if this virus hadn't hit, I probably would be in Sault Ste. Marie also, sort of deal. So that's kind of how far up behind I guess I am, is that in the very least I should be in Sault Ste. Marie. So, but beyond that, as far as, what I accomplished, like I said, I did just a hair under 4,900 kilometers. I would have loved to have at least done, like, say, 5,000 kilometers just through the winter. But it is what it is. And I'm not, at the end of the day, like I said, where I spent my time, how I spent my time, I'm actually really pleased with what was accomplished as far as the quality of the ride goes.
Well, that's good. And you and I have a couple projects on the go right now. We're in the making of this somewhat of a B-roll type video where it's going to kind of connect with you in a little more of a personal approach.
Yeah.
And then we also have episode 2 of a documented series about Ontario, but that's put on pause while this pandemic is going on.
Yes.
So that's pretty exciting. I'm excited about these next videos that are coming out. But we were talking a little bit about what questions to ask on this podcast, and the problem is with me, because we talk so often, is most of the time I know the answers to the questions.
Yeah.
So we came up with the idea of going to Facebook and asking your followers what kind of questions they want answered, and they delivered.
Oh yes, they did. I was actually surprised. I didn't think anyone was going to ask anything.
The floodgates open.
Yes.
So I'm going to dive right into some of these questions.
Sure.
And some of these are just really good questions. For example, John Martin asks, how are you dealing with being away from friends and family on your trip?
Oh, okay.
That's a good question, John.
It is actually a good question. And I saw that question. I thought, oh boy, it's a little bit of a loaded question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is for me personally, and I realize that everyone's different. For me personally, being separated from friends, family, all that kind of stuff is actually, does this make me sound like a bad person to say it's actually pretty easy?
Yeah, definitely does.
It does. I apologize. But this is the thing. So, I was a long haul truck driver for 6.5 years before I got on this bike. I did like 1.2 million kilometers in 6.5 years. Virtually every single day of my entire life, I am thousands of kilometers away from anybody I know, every day, all day. Not to mention, my family is actually pretty separated as far as distance, geography. Like my parents and my one brother live in PEI, and my other brother lives in La Glace, Alberta, which is northwest of Edmonton. Like I haven't seen that brother, Ryan. I haven't seen him in, I think, a few years. And as far as PEI goes, like I've been, I think 3 or 4 times, and it had been a year or 2 since I'd been last. And so it's always many years before I see any of my family, kind of deal. So it's not that difficult when it's sort of everyday normal life for me.
Yeah.
The reality is it's actually not that difficult for me.
Okay.
If that makes me a bad guy, I apologize, but it is what it is. It's just the nature of our family, but hey, this is like I'm in Kingston and I'm at my aunt's, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's not like I run from my family.
No.
It's just, we happen to live far apart from each other. So, and I'm getting along great with my aunt. So,
well, good. This next question is from Perry Stone.
Perry.
And this is one that I've always wondered about, and I always just forget to ask you. And it's when you go, especially when you go to like South America, are you concerned about being confronted by, his word was terrorism, but my thought is like cannibals. Isn't that a nation of savagery?
No, I think the cannibals is the other side of the world.
Not when you go further south.
What's that?
Not when you go further south.
No, I think the whole cannibal thing is like.
Is that out of movies?
Well, I think it's like Papua New Guinea, over by Indonesia, so the other side of the world.
Okay.
Do I fear? In the grand scheme of things, no, I don't. Truth of the matter is I don't have that luxury, in my opinion.
Yeah.
People look at things differently. This is a goal. This is a mission. This is what I'm doing. Yeah. If I start worrying about that kind of stuff today, then it'll take no time before I come up with like 15 excuses why I should just stay at home on the couch. So kind of my attitude about it is I don't really have the luxury of worrying about that kind of stuff.
Right.
Now, does that mean that wisdom gets thrown out the window? Absolutely not. I mean, you want to be wise about your decisions. You don't want to be foolish. But I think at the same time, when you talk about fear of this or that, it's just most of that is internal. You know, therefore it becomes a choice. You know, actually, it's probably a good time to like, okay, so if you ask the average person about, you know, what are the most dangerous countries in North, Central, and South America, usually hands down, two countries come to mind, two, Mexico and Colombia. That the average person will say those are the two most dangerous countries in North, Central, and South America. Okay, so if you follow blogs of cyclists who actually bike through these countries slowly, like when you're biking through a country, you don't do that in a day or two. It takes sometimes weeks, it takes sometimes months to get through a country. Anyways, these people are day in, day out, all their senses exposed to the elements, exposed to the locals. Every aspect of their life is immersed in those cultures. So you ask a cyclist, what are their two favorite countries in North, Central, and South America? And 95% of them, hands down, will say Mexico and Colombia.
Really?
And the reason Mexico and Colombia are their favorites, yet everyone says that those are the most dangerous, is they are their favorites because that is where the most friendliest people they have encountered live. So you have one side of the world saying those are the most dangerous people, but then you have the people that have actually gone, pedaled, biked through those countries, interacted with the locals one-on-one, you know, on a level that the average tourist cannot even imagine. And they will say those are the two friendliest countries in Central and South America. So
really interesting.
So so where is the space? Where is the room for a fear of the unknown? Now, can bad things happen? Yes, bad things happen to good people. They happen all the time.
Yeah.
It is what it is. Like I said, if I think about it, I'm sure I can come up with 15 reasons why I should stay on the couch. Now, side note, if there is a country that has me a little bit nervous, is probably Venezuela. Simply because it doesn't seem, from my understanding of world news, it does not seem to have kind of risen above that kind of that recession, the world recession we had back in 2008 because of oil prices and this and that. But you know, I'll worry about Venezuela when I get to Venezuela.
Fair enough.
So it'll just be that simple.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess for me, I'm just completely ignorant because I've never been to South America, obviously. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, no, and I've never been either. I mean, I have no idea. But, you know,
I've
by the time I get there, I'll have pedaled 20, 30,000 kilometers. So, you know what I mean? Every day is a learning experience.
For sure. And this next question is from Joanne's Hugerbrug. Is that a relation?
Johannes.
Johannes. Sorry, yes. Johannes. And she asks, do you speak... It's a he. And how do you say it again? Johannes. Oh, it's because I was reading it as Joannes. Okay.
Yeah, no, John.
Sorry, sorry, Johannes. Do you speak English? If not, how will you communicate in Latin America?
You mean do I speak Spanish?
Yes. Oh, did I say English?
Yeah, because my English is actually pretty good.
This is my first show, by the way.
Yeah. Don't worry. We won't hold it against you.
Yeah, do you speak Spanish?
No, I know I can order a cerveza, a beer. No, I don't know Spanish. Am I worried about it today? No, I'm not worried about it today because I'm in Kingston, Ontario. Is it something that I need to deal with and address? Yes, it is.
You could probably find one of those translation apps, eh?
Well, yeah, I mean, people do ask me, like, okay, so my attitude about Spanish right now is I will worry about that when I leave Vancouver and I enter into Washington. And then that will give me a bit of a time frame to start learning my Spanish. If I start learning my Spanish today, it's probably not going to do me a whole lot of good by the time I finally get to Mexico. So
Okay.
I'm going to worry about Spanish when I get into Washington and start heading south along the Pacific coast. And hopefully by the time I get to Mexico, I'll have at least a few words in my vocabulary and, move on from there. So that's my attitude about Spanish and learning it and kind of moving forward.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I love this. I'll cross that bridge to it when I get to it kind of attitude. That's
Oh yeah. No,
there's cool.
The thing is I have so many different things like on the go on my plate. It's like you have to be able to prioritize what's important for today, what's important for tomorrow. A lot of times it's funny, like when I would run into people on the road, they would ask me about, the next province or what my plans were when I got whatever. And I was like, honestly, I don't really give much thought to the next 60 kilometers in front of me. They'll say, well, what road are you taking to get from here to, point A to point B? And it's like, honestly, I hadn't even looked at the map yet. I'll worry about that when I have to.
For sure. Dallas Justinger. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. He's asking,
Sir, I just realized that I would not want your job because I can't pronounce names for the life of me.
I'm just winging it. I'm winging it and just hoping I don't offend people.
So anyone listening, it's like, even if he butchers your name, trust me, I would do 10 times worse. So
I'm butchering it with love. Just know that.
Butchering with
love.
Yes.
But anyway, Dallas asks, are you going to be ready physically once the ride resumes?
Well, I saw that question too. I thought that was so interesting because the truth of the matter is I was not physically ready when I started the first part of this ride.
You'll cross that bridge when you get to it, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, honestly, the first day that I biked this ride was physically the hardest day of my entire life. Like from St. John to Cape Spear was by far the hardest day of my life physically. I hadn't been on So
training is in the doing.
Yeah, no, exactly. The reality is I'm on a 4th floor apartment. My bike is right outside the balcony window and it doesn't fit in the elevator. So my bike came up this 4th. I had to carry it up 4 floors 20 days ago and it hasn't left since. Which is, So, I don't know if I'll get out and ride it or not, but it's, even my first bike ride, I hadn't been on a bike in 8 years. I bought a brand new bike and a day later I was pedaling a 6,500 kilometer bike ride.
Now, was there any mornings when you woke up just so sore and you didn't feel like going, but you went anyway?
Well, it's kind of interesting because in Newfoundland, about a week into my ride, my knees started to bug me. And it actually kind of scared me a little bit because it's like, well, why didn't my knees start bugging me on the first day? Like, why did they all of a sudden wait like a week and a half? And that made me a little bit nervous. But interestingly enough, as soon as I got to Nova Scotia, they stopped bothering me. And I never really had a problem since regarding that.
That's good. This is Jake Voles.
Jake from he's over by Portland. He was one of my deliveries when I was in a truck.
Oh, okay.
I used to deliver to him in just outside of Portland. Cookies.
He asked, did you ever imagine your ride creating such influence with the people following you?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. I had no expectation no expectation whatsoever. When it came to the interactions with locals, I did not see that coming for the life of me. It's funny. Well, part of it was just how quickly I had to plan for this ride and how quickly it all came together that I never really ever gave it much thought as to what would happen the second I started pedaling. I never got that far in my thinking. And then all of a sudden everything that happened and it just, I did not anticipate any of it at all. I just figured it'd be me, myself, and I on the road, and that would be it.
So here's my question. Do you remember your first follower? Quiz time.
No. Well, because the reason I say that is because I did a bit of Facebook bike group promotion. So
somebody you don't know.
So yeah, so it was like you post something and all of a sudden people start liking your stuff, kind of deal very quickly. Now I can see it, but here's this one. How about this one? Can't remember his last name. Not the end of the world, but Brent in Newfoundland.
Oh yeah, I remember that from the documentary.
Yeah, he pulled over. He did a U-turn, and he handed me a Pepsi, if I'm not mistaken. And he took my photo, and then he handed me a $10 bill.
Cool.
And he still follows to this day. Every once in a while, I get a message from him. But he was the first guy that, pulled a U-turn on the road just to say hey and ask me what the heck was going on.
That's cool. And I'm going to mention it right now. Just you were mentioning Brett there. You have all these stories, these interactions documented on your website, correct?
Yeah. As long as there was like a selfie photo taken, yes, I do have. I don't actually have a photo with Brent. I'm trying to remember. I feel like he sent me a photo, but all of a sudden, that's sort of escaping me. I'm sure he sent me that photo. Yeah, he would have sent me that photo. But I do have on the homepage of my website. I kind of had a safariarie.ca. Thank you. That's arie.ca.
Short little plug.
Yep. Anyways, I do have on the homepage, I have basically all my hosts, and all the people that kind of ran into where we were able to take a photo of each together. I've got that all on the website, right on the homepage. And I've got kind of a little story of just how we met or whatever with each host or each friend. I'm about 99% done that. I think there's one or two that I still have to complete or whatever. But yeah, one of my favorite parts of the website is that section.
Right on. All right. So Arie, we are going past 25 minutes. We want to keep these short and enjoyable for you guys to watch. We don't want to, I know our documentary was pretty lengthy, but we felt it had to be to really tell the story. Just because, Arie was telling the story through his live videos, which were really detailed, and we wanted you to experience that. So that's why it was long. And it was 5 provinces. Yeah. So the next one's only going to be 1, so it'll be a lot shorter. But that's how we want to keep these videos. So we're going to wrap it up for now.
Absolutely.
Arie, thanks for doing this. This is a great idea, and I'm excited for the next podcast.
Oh, no, thank you. Just a quick shout out just for Brandon. We kind of connected through my younger brother, Ryan, and so far the experience has been amazing. And I'm very mindful of your time commitment and your investment of time into making this project successful. So
not a problem.
Yeah, no, thanks. I totally appreciate it.
No, when I first heard about what you were doing, I was just like, I need to get behind this. It's not every day that you meet someone who's biking 55,000 kilometers. So it's been an honor knowing you too. So with that said, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Hey guys, if you want to stay updated with all of Safari Arie's content, then click this button right here. And to watch the next video, click this button right here. Take care.